Now, Sally, there's been some welcome rain this week in the North Island.
There has been, but it was a bit of a mixed blessing. Farmers in Hawke's Bay really needed it, while further north in Te Tairāwhiti, farmers got more than they wanted. We spoke to one farmer near Tokumaru Bay who'd just spent the last of his post-cyclone road repair money before the heavy rain arrived, and he's now having to deal with flood debris and damage to newly repaired tracks. And just while we're in that region, we spoke to another farmer this week who says the losses he's carrying with his maize crop this season is far worse than anything Cyclone Gabrielle threw at him. Alan Newton farms near Wairoa, and he says New Zealand's main grain purchaser isn't buying off farmers because it's imported vast quantities of cheaper product from Europe. He says the company purchased a large amount of grain from overseas, knowing their silos still had a lot of grain inside they'd bought the season before.
Costing us somewhere near $1,000 a hectare, so we can't afford to pay our mortgages, HPs and things like that. It's a bigger disaster than the cyclone. To me, it comes across as intentionally sabotaging the industry to create a fire sale. And they knew that there was a lot of grain planted on the east coast. The buyers that sign up for contracts when you plant just suddenly disappeared off the market, and there's thousands of tonnes of uncontracted grain on the east coast of the North Island.
Alan Newton says it's the third bad season in a row, and he's depressed by it.
Now, what does the company involved say?
Well, we've reached out to them, but we're still waiting to hear back.
The Farmers Union in the UK has been anti-New Zealand lamb coming into its local market for a wee while now. What's the latest there?
Well, the British National Farmers Union raised concerns about large supermarket chain Morrisons trialling the sale of New Zealand lamb in its stores. The union says the supermarket dropping its commitment to sell only British lamb is disappointing at a time when the British livestock industry is under pressure. Morrisons says the move is due to customer demand for cheaper prices and that the blunt commercial reality is that New Zealand lamb is cheaper to source. Beef and Lamb Chair Kate Ackland says New Zealand lamb is cheaper because farmers here are so efficient.
I mean, the UK and New Zealand have complementary seasons, and that means that consumers in the UK can have access to the best seasonal products all year round. And it actually benefits farmers in both countries. It stabilises the market, it supports price levels, and it keeps lamb on the table of consumers over there.
Now, you have some figures from the primary produce exporting sector, Sally. How are things looking?
Well, not so green for Zespri, the kiwi fruit marketer. Its profit has dropped 27%, and the company's putting that down mainly to reduced licence revenue as growers paid less to grow gold and red varieties last season. The major honey exporter, Comvita, they've downgraded their forecast revenue due to weak consumer demand in China. But the major apple exporter, Scales Corporation, says that issue is not affecting its overall sales too much. Here's Andy Borland, the company's managing director.
It's been a tighter market, but we're probably seeing signs of improvement latterly. So we're pretty happy with this year's sales.
And just a word on dairy prices, they're rising at the fastest level in 3 months. The average price at this week's global auction rose 3.3% to $3,861. It follows the 1.8% rise a fortnight ago. The price of whole milk powder, which strongly influences the payouts for farmers here, rose 2.9% to $3,408 a tonne. Prices for all other products also rose, including butter, which was up more than 5%. The dairy season is winding down, and recent market prices support a forecast payout of $7.80 per kilo of milk solids.
Now, a new software program is helping streamline things at the milking shed.
It is. Livestock Visibility Solutions has a new software program called Flow. It's designed to streamline cow movement from the yard to the milking shed by automating the backing gate system. Rakaia share milker Rick Butler, who's been using the tech for a couple of months, says it's made a big improvement.
For us, it's tangibly, the cows are a lot less stressed. The system's got its camera looking at the yard all the time, giving the cows plenty of space and encouraging them forward really gently when they need it. And that's all.
And what's the latest on tackling the shortage of rural workers, Sally?
Well, Health New Zealand, Te Whatu Ora, has given Rural Women New Zealand $90,000 towards grants for students whose study will benefit healthcare in rural communities. Meanwhile, the state-owned farming company Pāmu has launched an apprenticeship scheme to help get more young people into farming from next year. 9 school leavers enrolled in agriculture courses across the central North Island, Waikato and Bay of Plenty will be selected for the 2-year apprenticeship at Pāmu's farm near Taupō.
And you have the results of this year's Ahu Whenua Trophy, which celebrates excellence in Māori farming.
Aotearoa's top Māori dairy farm has been named, their Waikato dairy company, Wairarapa Moana Kepukani. It has a 12,000-strong dairy herd across 12 farms in Mangakino in the North Island. Its chair, Kingi Smiler, says installing Māori values on farm is critical to their success.
Overall, the philosophy is kaitiakitanga, so building a sustainable land use operation, in this case dairy farming, for the next generation. And so to do that, it needs to be both sustainable from an environmental point of view and also from generating income and returns that can both continue to develop the property and also share the benefits with our shareholders.
And Ben Purua, the farm manager at Waimakariri Lands in South Waikato, won the Young Māori Farmer Award. And just a word on avian influenza before we wrap up. Hundreds of thousands of chickens have been euthanised at an egg farm in Australia. The property near Meredith in Victoria is in quarantine, and testing has revealed that the strain of the disease is H7N3, the most commonly occurring variant in Australia. The detection comes amid fears of a global avian flu outbreak after the widespread detection of the H5N1 strain overseas, most recently found in the US dairy cow herd.
Something to watch out for. Thanks very much, Sally.